Billy. Maneco64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So this is my midweek live stream. I think it's a good time space to do it on the weekend, and then on Wednesday. On the weekend, it could be on a Saturday or a Sunday. Billy is here today, and I've also gotten a new cushion. It's got a lot of flags from different countries in the world. So, of course, I still have the U.S. flag. I've got the UK and the Canadian flag there. But for other people from other countries, this should be diplomatic. So it's like all different countries of the world. And notice I didn't get the UN flag because I don't believe in the UN. And I think it's a globalist institution. The UN, of course, was created after World War II or during World War II, and the land where the UN headquarters is in New York used to be Rockefeller land. It was donated by the Rockefellers, so that can't be a good thing. So we've got a few people coming on here. Nathan Jones, hi Nathan. What a shambles. Starts at 4:20 like a boss. OG Hey Maneco from Bethnal Green. Great. Bethnal Green in London. Nathan Jones, 420 like Tesla share price. I haven't followed the Tesla share price. Good evening, Rick W. Monero top 420. Good evening or good morning to some other people. It's different times all over the world. So Billy is now in front of the all the nations of the world's flag. I'm not sure if it has every nation of the world. It's got quite a few in there. So hopefully people will enjoy that. Louis Lee from Seoul in South Korea. Nice to see you, Louis. Tristan Marsh, California. Daryl Lowry, PH2 is eating a nothing burger. So again, well, this is the title of the live stream is midweek Q&A. I guess I can go over some of the headlines, what's happening in the markets as well a little bit. And yeah, I'm here to answer your guys' questions. D. Mitch, hello. Did you see the oil price rocket today? Yes, D. Mitch. Mitchell, I was looking at that, and yeah, right now it's up 2.5%. The WTI crude at almost 67.50, and it's strange. You know, you would expect other commodities to stay elevated, but gold and silver again, they rallied a little earlier. Gold got above 1,200, but now is back to 1,295. Very frustrating, of course. But yeah, oil. I continue to think oil is going to keep doing well, personally. KVJQXZZ. The League of Nations was a British idea, so it must have been good. Well, the U.S. did not. The U.S. Congress and the Senate did not, want to go into the League of Nations. So that that organization was doomed from the start. Americans weren't into being because people could see that having a League of Nations or United Nations it usurped the sovereignty of all the other nations, right? United Nations is just a step for a world government, and I don't agree with the United Nations. I think together with the Bank for International Settlements, with the IMF, World Bank, all these institutions should be abolished, and so should central banks. What we should have is sovereign countries cooperating, trading with each other, respecting each other. I think that's the best thing. So let's see. So that's the League of Nations. What is Isam Al-Din Ahmed? What is your opinion about gold silver ratio today? It's approximately 81.50. Yeah, I think Yeah, it has risen because gold has outperformed silver in the last week or so, especially since the end of last week. I think it's overdone. I think hopefully uh, we could see silver come back, and that would help gold as well. So I think we're highly elevated right now. I think historically, this 8150 ratio is like an anomaly. It could go a little higher, but not that much more. Peter Weitzinger from Sydney, Australia. Hi, Peter. Um, so I just answered the question about the oil price. James Scott, tell me what you mean by pound backed by a national debt. Not sure about that. Well, the only way that if you look at your Bank of England note, uh, it's backed by the national debt. And why is that? Well, because that's what you pay your taxes in. That's what the only way to service the UK debt is through fiat money. And fiat money is that. And in a fiat money system, money is debt. And that's why they can't pay off the national debt or the UK national debt. Prior to that, under a gold standard, gold was money. And I called the Bank of England to ask them about the promise to pay the bearer on demand. They said, yeah, it used to be gold. And I asked them, what is it backed by now? They said national debt. Because all the commercial banks, when they issue their loans to you or to me or anyone else, it's backed by Bank of England notes. And Bank of England notes are issued on the back of the debt that the government issues, the gilts. So that's why it's backed by national debt. That's why they can never, if politicians, if there's a politicians that comes about and says, I'm going to pay off all the national debt, it's either going to be a lie or it's the end of the fiat money system. So that's how it's backed. And that's why they can't, that's why the national debt always keeps going up. And if there is a decrease at some point, it doesn't last for too long. They repump the system. Nathan Jones, UN got to be bailing out everyone with SDR. The UN doesn't have any money, so I don't see how they could bail. And SDR is just it's just a basket of the major currencies in the IMF. So where would the UN get its money from? It would be more fiat. It wouldn't be good, in my opinion. Chung Chan, Mario, I was thinking earlier why a country, China, for example, would own other countries' debt. USA, for example, when they have a ton of their own debt. The reason why China owns US treasuries and other debts is because China, how can I say, China's has a trade surplus. What that means, China's accumulating a lot of US dollars or euros because they're selling more than they're buying from abroad. So the best way for them to keep that money, well, the best way they think is to park it in US treasuries because they're highly liquid. It's a highly liquid market. So they buy US treasuries, which also gives them a yield or an income on that debt. But if we were on a sound money standard where it's, because the gold standard is like, excuse me, is like barter. There is no, it's very difficult to keep a deficit or a surplus under a gold standard. So you would pay your debts all the time. So China wouldn't have to hold on to, other people's debt. It's only in the fiat money system that countries hold debt because there's always trade imbalances. The US, of course, doesn't hold any other country's debts because they issue unfortunately, the reserve currency, which is debt. And that explains it even more to the person who asked earlier about why gilts or the pound is backed by government debts. I hope that helps, Chung Cheng. $15 silver, better buy. Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's very frustrating. Believe me, I've been in the precious metals market for since 2001 or two, and I can say that most of the time it's a frustrating uh, investment or currency, real money to hold, but it pays off in the long term. Right now, we're going through a very frustrating period. Rick W. Mario, have you read about Germany calling a new SWIFT payment system separate from the US? Yes, Rick. My video today, my normal video today was all about that. So I have heard. I think it's very significant. But again, these things take time to happen. We've seen already with China and the Petro Yuan, and now with Germany calling for a new SWIFT system, Russians working on their own SWIFT system. It's all snowballing, and we could see all of a sudden some kind of big loss of confidence in the dollar. It could come at any time. D. Mitch, did you hear about this guy trying to sue a phone company for $240 million for helping with theft of his Bitcoin? Yeah, I think I saw that headline and article, but I didn't really read the whole thing. Lorraine Weymouth, hi from the Jurassic Coast. Let's see. KVJQXZZ. Someone once observed that it is easier to invent credit than a money standard. Do you agree? Well, a credit standard that we have now, the fiat money standard, is not invented. It's imposed upon us by legal tender laws. A money standard is a standard of the free market, I would say. It's like barter to a next step where you exchange value for value, and the money and the commodity that becomes the most marketable one, which has been proven to be gold and silver, and others, of course, in the past, like conches and cigarettes, they become the money. So there is no inflation because you exchange value for value. But in a credit system, you issue credit out of thin air, and that's why you create big disruptions. Not to say that in a free market where you have sound money, there aren't disruptions, but they're not as accentuated or as extreme, I would say. Tristan Marsh, I've just started stacking silver, not going to lie. I'm pretty happy with the price. I would be too if I was just I guess when I started buying silver, it was a lot lower than now. It has gone a lot higher than it is now, but I'm not concerned. James Scott, Hammond, he's the Chancellor of the Exchequer in the UK, the finance minister, so to speak. So James Scott says Hammond got all excited a couple of days ago, saying the deficit was down by $2 billion with a CONN. We will start paying down the national debts. Mainstream media went along with it. Shameful. But yeah, it's rubbish. I mean, we still have a budget deficit. Prior to this chancellor and this present government, George Osborne, when he was chancellor, said that by 2015 the budget would be balanced. But we're in 2018 now. They're talking about 2025, I think, a balanced budget. And as I said before, this is just talk because they can't pay off the debt. Because by paying off the debt, they take money out of the economy because the debt backs the monetary system. So you can bet there'll be a problem in the meantime where they're going to give us an excuse that they'll have to increase the debt. So it's just talk. Hammond does I think he knows what he's talking about, but he's just not being honest. Kathleen Smith, Mario, Eric Prince of Blackwater wants to privatize Afghan war. Thoughts? Possible international corporate army? Well, yeah, I saw that story. It wouldn't be anything new. Britain had a national, how can I say, army, a private army. It was called the East India Company, and they had their own private mercenaries. So it wouldn't be something new, and it lasted from 1600 to the 1850s. Go check out the flag of the East India Company and tell me what flag that looks like. You'd be surprised. Rockanor G, what's your crypto portfolio look like? Well, it's increasing because I'm getting a lot of airdrops by holding EOS. Some of them are not worth that much at the moment. Some of them are worth quite a bit, which is nice. So yeah, it's increasing my crypto portfolio in terms of cryptocurrencies. So yeah, I'm quite happy with it, and I'm holding on to it. And I also, every time I post my videos on DTube and Steam it, I earn cryptocurrencies as well. So my Steam, the amount of Steam I have is going up every day. So that's how it looks. D. Mitch, if you were in Venezuela or Turkey right now, I don't reckon you would even care what you paid for it. Yeah, that's right. What TJ Aston, what would you buy a house in the USA? Would you buy a house in the USA right now? If the market does crash, will it be more difficult to buy a home after the crash? Well, if you have the cash and the money, it'd probably be easier to buy after a crash. But I mean, I've said before, when my wife and I first bought our first family home, we didn't care. I mean, I did have a job, of course. I was earning quite well, and we sold an old property that we lived in, an apartment. But we weren't thinking of the price. We were thinking of somewhere to live. We weren't thinking of an investment. And we didn't put, I didn't, I mean, I had a fairly big mortgage for back then, but it was I would say less than 50% of the value of the house. So I'm not sure what are you doing right now, if you're renting, if it would be cheaper to buy, or how much down you would put that, in terms of capital, and that's what you have to look at. Peter Oitzinger, Putin attended the Austrian foreign minister's wedding on the weekend and spent a day talking with Angela Merkel, one-on-one, speaking German. I think he's a real statesman. Your thoughts? I saw that too, Peter. I saw that on YouTube. He did the work for the, I guess, KGB, and he was stationed in East Germany, so he speaks very good German. I think he speaks English as well. Yeah, I think he is a true statesman. I agree with you. T. Hambone, it's pretty pathetic that the public can't even demand answers from the central banks and their government puppets. Working for monopoly money that is inflating away is a true IQ test of a population. Yeah, unfortunately, the whole excuse me, the whole IQ of the West has gone downhill, or the whole world. And that's why I keep banging on about fiat money, central banking, because in my opinion, everything else is a huge distraction. Michael Cohen, Donald Trump, Russiagate, trade wars. Until we reform our monetary system and go back to sound, honest money, where you get value for value, everything else is a distraction. But that's what I'm here for. I'm going to keep shouting from the rooftops for sound money, and hopefully more and more people will wake up to it. Because believe me, I only started looking into it around 2002, and I've already been working, in the markets, financial markets, for over 10 years. So I was oblivious to how things worked. So it's not. Unfortunately, they don't teach children in school this kind of stuff, or at university. They don't cover the nature of money like a Murray Rothbard would do with the, that's the book I recommend to everyone. If I could give a book to everyone on earth, it would be What Has Government Done to Our Money by Murray Rothbard. And people would wake up and revolt. As I think Henry Ford said that if people knew how our monetary system worked, there would be a revolution the next day. And that's why they don't talk about it. That's the subject that's like taboo. You can't criticize the people who create supposed value out of thin air. So yes, T. Hambone, I agree with you 150%. R. Sanchez, maneco64, what effect on currency, especially the US dollar, will crop losses have? Well, hot, cold, drought, food, hail have devastating crops globally. Well, if anything, it could have a negative impact on the dollar if we have higher commodity prices, but it would be temporary. Right these days, the currencies are more affected by the financial system. Unfortunately, I mean, it should be affected more by real things like commodities and crops, but it will have some kind of impact, but not that much. What a shambles. If you don't move or use EOS, you lose it. Well, I think if you don't move it around or vote for 3 years, they could, they could take it. That's to encourage people to use the EOS. So you just have to move one token from your account in 3 years, and you're fine. But there's a reason for it. Kathleen Smith, just look at flag. Wow, that's insane. How come I never learned this in school? Every American should see this. Oh, you mean that flag with all the world flags? I don't know if it's every flag from every country in the world, but it's one of the viewers asked me, you've got flags from the US, UK, Canada. What about, such and such country? So I decided to just bought that cushion and put it there. So make everyone happy. Huh. Sash Media, I made it. Hi, Sash. Chris Weiner, hi, Mario. Yeah, finally caught a live stream. Oh, good, Chris. I'm glad. I've only been here 22 minutes, so I'm going to be on for a little longer. Oh, Kathleen Smith, no, Maneco, the flag I was talking about was the East India flag, not your pillows. Yeah, isn't that interesting, Kathleen? So to those of you who don't know, the East India flag is it's almost like the stars. It is the stripes, the U.S. stars and stripes, but instead of having the blue box with the stars, it had the first one had the flag of St. George's, but it's got the 13 stripes, white and red, just like the stars and stripes. So East India Company. Stacker Noob UK. Hey Maneco, have you checked out Zoopla website yet? You can sort properties by most reduced prices. It makes for interesting reading. Southeast England and London. Yeah, I do look at Zoopla sometimes. Yeah, and they tell you their estimate of prices. I'll have a look though. Sort out by regions. Darian Oliver, how long do you think before the monetary reset? I think it's getting, of course, it's getting closer and closer, and I think it's being done already. In the last, I think it's been happening since 2001 and 2. Ever since the gold price has been going up, but with what's happening with the dollar and the way the U.S. is behaving with sanctions and like trade wars, I think a lot of countries we saw today, I talked about in my earlier video about how Germany now is calling for an alternative to the SWIFT system. China developing its own oil contract in yuan. Russia also working on an alternative system for SWIFT. That's all showing me signs that it's accelerating, and it could happen very quickly. I think the snowball has been growing, and at one point it's all going to happen. But it's really difficult to predict. All you need to be is prepared. And even if it doesn't happen, you've got your gold and silver. It doesn't hurt having gold and silver because it will always be worth something. T Hambone, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. I have to say, YouTube, for me at least, I don't know what's happened. My videos are not getting censored in terms of monetization anymore. I'm not getting the yellow icon, which is good. The subscribership is growing. I'm almost at 20,000. But I have to say, sometimes I don't get as many views as I expect from videos. Like yesterday, I made my normal video, only got just over 2,000 views after 24 hours. But today, for example, the video is doing really well. So I think they're still kind of shadow banning me, but I appreciate all the help on Super Chat, the Patreon donations, and also the buying of merchandise in the maneco64 store. It all helps. It helps me keep the message coming and making this more full-time, this channel. Yeah, thanks, T. Hambon. Patty Beck, Mario, should I buy gold coins or gold bars? Patty, it depends. If you've got 10 million pounds, I would say buy a few of those 400-ounce bars. But if you've got 10,000 pounds or less, focus on the coins. You can buy some bars as well. There are bars as small as 10 grams, 20 grams, 50 grams, 100 grams. I don't recommend, though, if you're not buying a huge amount in terms of fiat, I don't recommend the kilo bar. And if you're in the UK, I really recommend the gold sovereigns, not bars. Stacker Noob, do you think we are starting to see a reversal in the recent dollar rally? Commodities rising. Yes, Stacker Noob, I do. I spoke about that in the video, my video earlier this morning, and I looked at a dollar index chart, and I talked about how the dollar seemed to be breaking out in the beginning of August, broke through 95, 50, 96, and went all the way up to almost 97 on the 15th of August last week, and now it's reversed and it's back to almost 95. So I think it could have been a false breakout. So yeah, I think the dollar could be coming back down. Sash Media, one UK housing market. When is the bubble going to burst already? It's taking ages. Do you think credit will be harder to obtain after? Of course, after the bubble pops, there will be almost no credit out there. And that's why the bubble will have popped, because there will be no credit to keep it going. You will find it very hard. You find it very easy to buy properties if you have cash, if you've got unencumbered money, but you find it very hard to sell it. It will be a buyer's market. Jake Jones, well wishes from the old colony over here in Hong Kong, Mario. Hey, Jake, nice to see you. Regular viewer, subscriber. Hong Kong is probably one of the freest places on earth, economically free. And that was because of John Cowperthwaite back in the 60s. He was a civil servant in the UK, and he administered Hong Kong. And he thought the best thing to do is to leave it alone, let the market do things. And that's why Hong Kong is so economically free. I know it's been back under Chinese rule since 1997. So that freedom's probably kind of withered away a bit. But as I say, I'd rather have economic freedom than political freedom personally, because if you have economic freedom, that means that you don't need politicians to help you get back your property, because the government will protect your freedom, your economic freedom, your right to life, liberty, and property. So, yeah, I think Hong Kong is right in the spectrum of least free places and most free places. Hong Kong is right towards the most free. Jake Jones says gold bullion coins and bars have been sold out at the major dealers in Hong Kong over these last 2 weeks. Yeah, and that's interesting. I've heard that the bullion prices, coin prices on eBay are also very high. They're a lot higher than the spot prices. I noticed that back in 08, 09 when gold dropped from 1,000 to 700. The prices on eBay were a lot higher than the market price. And I know a lot of people say, oh, you shouldn't buy gold from eBay. But sometimes I used to, because if the seller has a reputation and he's got a good record, why not? Jonathan, hello, Mario. Would you collect British junk silver coins if available below spot? Of course I would. I prefer the junk coins prior to 1920 because they're sterling silver or 925. Yeah, the 20 to 46 coins are 50% silver. I guess that's fine. All you need to be aware of is you're getting half the silver that you used to get prior to 1920. But yeah, I highly recommend that. There's no VAT on junk silver in the UK. Patty Beck, thank you, Mario. I'm in Liverpool. I will get some sovereigns, yes. And the other thing about sovereigns, Patty, is that you can get, you don't have to get a full sovereign. You can get a half sovereign as well. Just make sure you you don't overpay for the half sovereigns, because the dealers or the jewelers sometimes, let's say the sovereign is like 250 pounds, they'll charge you like 200 for the half sovereign when they should be charging 125. So just be careful with that. No, my cheerleader. Buy metals when everyone hates it. Best price for accumulation lately. You're right. Kathleen Smith, since much of emerging market debt is in US dollar, doesn't it need to be paid back in US dollar? Thus driving demand. Wouldn't this strengthen the US dollar? Well, it has been strengthening the US dollar versus the emerging market currencies. But I was talking more about the dollar index, which is mainly the euro and the major currencies like the Japanese yen and sterling. And today, for example, the Brazilian currency, that's dropped even further. That's something to keep an eye out. So it's breaking out. The dollar's got to like 410 against the real, and I think 3 years ago it got up to 425. That could be something to keep an eye on. That could spill over. Let's have a look. Oh, Bitcoin Ben is here. Yes, I'm live, Bitcoin Ben. Oh, love you live. Oh, thanks, Bitcoin Ben. I like watching you as well, live, in your driving your truck. I'm not driving a truck, but I'm here with Billy. You see, I've got a new Flags of the World cushion. Bitcoin Ben, you guys in the UK leaving the SWIFT system? Well, the story I talked about today in the my video was about Germany, saying that the EU should look into getting some alternative to SWIFT. I know the UK is supposed to leave the EU by next year, but if the EU were to get an alternative to SWIFT, I'm sure the UK would use that alternative. The UK would also use SWIFT. The British and the City of London, they don't care. They use any system. That's what they're good at, trading. They'll trade any currency, any system. But it dilutes the importance of the dollar, especially if the Germans are pushing for this, in my opinion. Let's see. Jake Jones, jewelry stores here in Hong Kong sell 999 bullion rings and other jewelry that can be worn by travelers without raising suspicious eyebrows of customs. Yeah, that's very interesting. You can buy jewelry in China or Hong Kong, and it's almost like you're buying bullion. In the UK, unfortunately, if you go buy a gold ring, the carat here is mostly 37 carats or 3/8, and they put a huge premium on it. But I think maybe if you go to the specialist jewelers in the UK, like maybe Chinese or Indian, you could buy 999 bullion. Or yeah, in the UK, what I meant is people buy a lot of 9 carat jewelry, and you pay a lot more than the gold content. It's nice that you can do this in Hong Kong. Ohio chemtrails. Hey Maneco, how is the diversity going in England? Here, the African and Muzzies are doing well. Well, I'm talking about more economics. Yes, there are problems with in Sweden, everywhere. There are problems in the States. So it's not only Europe. I think it's been done by design by the powers that be for the last 50 years to divide and conquer. The how can I say, the indigenous population. But yeah, it's there. It's having the impact. I think a lot of people are getting at each other's neck, unfortunately. So who's this guy, Dave Ramsey? I'm gonna take this guy out. I don't think he's serious. Not welcome. I don't do this usually, but sometimes you need to. I'm gonna report him as well. Or just remove him. All right, we're Dave Ramsey. Oh, what the hell? Hide. There's a lot of scammers. Michaela's Pink Inner Thoughtory. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but anyway, these people have been taken care of. Sorry about that. Baldale, hi Manako, this must be the first time I have caught, I guess you mean the live stream. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say exactly to have a time. Usually it's Wednesdays or on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, I'm gonna keep going. Don't worry. I've just the trolls are out today. Yeah, I usually don't get these trolls, but anyway, they've been struck off. So so what else is going on here? Let me see what the markets are doing now. Well, gold still around 1196. We got up to 1201 earlier today. The stock market seems to have been stabilized. We were down quite a bit overnight, but now it's back to unchanged. The currencies are fairly steady, and except for the Brazilian real, which is under pressure. So let's go back here, see if you guys have any. Oh, another one of these. Another, yeah. I'm dumping. Yeah, there seems to be a few of these people, these trolls today for some reason. CNH, many countries are in trouble now, starting from Greece to Turkey. Will the whole world go bankrupt? Then crypto or precious metals starts to kick in. Yeah, I mean, it seems like people never learn, these emerging market countries, but at the same time, they have no choice, because if they try to go for an alternative, they're either, they're invaded or regime changed by the US. But now I think, with Germany looking for alternatives. Russia and China. I think this dollar system, that base system, is on its last legs. Let's hope so. Uh, another another tro. Don't know what's going on. Uh, Kathleen Smith. Let's see, Kathleen Smith. A great book is America's 60 Families by Ferdinand Lundberg. Talks about U.S. elite families and how much power they have. Written in the 1930s. Yeah. The other good one is Our Crowd by Stephen Birmingham. That's a good one too. Sash Media One. Have you noticed the 1 ounce gold Britannia has a value of £200? Would they ever reset gold and pound to these values? Can it happen? I thought it was a value of 20 pounds, a nominal, a face value of 20 pounds. Yeah, so it could be that they could. Is that the new oh, the 1 ounce gold, £200? Well, that would mean that there would be a complete collapse, deflationary collapse. Not deflationary collapse, but that would mean, yeah, that would be, that's where gold was about 15 years ago, £200. Stacker noob. Yeah, I've never had this stacker noob or these. I think that's a good sign. That means I'm doing something right if they're coming after me. Jonathan Marriott, the German finance minister, foreign minister it was, actually mentioned the need for an international payment system outside SWIFT because they know the sanctions on their trading partners from the US is unsustainable. Yeah, and they're tired of being held hostage by the US, even though SWIFT is supposed to be independent. Kathleen Smith, when you trace the families, you see the connections. Lots of wealthy Americans married into British titled families. Yeah, I think Winston Churchill's family, his mother was from a wealthy American background. I think it was back in the late 1800s, early 19th century. A lot of the wealthy, the titled British families, they had the titles and the land, but they didn't have any cash. So they married the rich American industrialists. Chris Weiner, yeah, trolls are paid operatives with no ethics. Yeah. Girl OG, why do you think that the cryptos are so good when under 1% owns more than 99% of the cryptos? I don't trust cryptos at all. You could be right, but I'm not really sure what the ownership of the cryptos, how it's distributed. But I think they're better. Cryptos are not as good as precious metals, but they're better than the fiat money trash we have. And the technology, the blockchain technology, is sound, in my opinion. There's another tro. Lord Humongous Mara, I've been telling people about your channel, a lot of gold and silver bugs. Thanks, Lord Humongous. Yeah, I have expelled them, these people. I don't know what's going on. Havoc's Horse 120. Wait, why wait to buy? The silver sellers will put higher premium on the silver when it goes to lower than 50. Yeah, it will be. Yeah, right now you're gonna get a huge premium in silver. You're gonna be, when you're buying now, even if it drops, it's not the price that we pay. The small guy, it's gonna be, you know, not a. It's not gonna be a great price. Yeah, that's unfortunate that these trolls are around because we're trying to do something here and they keep distracting us. But what Baudel, the trolls could be agents being paid to undermine your contrarian message. Yeah, I mean that's actually a good sign. It means that I'm doing something right. So thanks everyone for supporting me and giving my views time of the day. So I guess if I wasn't doing something that was worthwhile, I wouldn't have any trolls. I know it's annoying. Fed minutes, yeah, Fed minutes always affect can always affect the markets. Fed minutes. Joy DeMarkey, hi Joy, how are you doing? What's up? Kathleen Smith, maybe Trump will pardon Assange and he can tell the truth that it was Seth Rich and not Russian hack. Yeah, right now there's so much disinformation, so much, you know, it's crazy what's going on politically. It's not going to be the conclusion won't be good. But I try to tell people, let's focus on the debt. I was looking today at I'm sure a lot of you have seen before U.S. debt clock, and we're now at 21,400 billion or 21.4 trillion. So I think that's what we need to focus on and keep, you know, just do whatever's best for your circumstances and your family. Yeah, trolls have zero content. Yeah, Mystic Moss. Yeah, it's annoying. Yeah, Laura, it's all a distraction. No one talks about the nature of money. Yes, Donald Trump has criticized the Fed, but he hasn't criticized the nature of the Fed. Yes, Stacker Noob, assign one of your regulars as admin. I think I did have one, but I don't know. Do you want to do it for me? uh, Stacker Noob, I wouldn't mind. Oh, that's all right, Stacker Noob. I'll take you out then. But anyone's free to tell me if they want to be a moderator to help out. Flower B, love your daily updates. Thank you, Flower B. It's good to get feedback to know that I'm doing something that people enjoy. Bob Diamonaco, isn't it strange that the U.S. should continue to increase its interest rates, knowing the harmful effect of the process it's having on emerging markets? Yeah, maybe it's not the U.S. that's doing it's the Federal Reserve. Uh, you know, I would say maybe they know what they're doing. Maybe that's their way of like bringing the whole system down because they know it's unsustainable. Uh, I don't. Maybe it's not that they're doing it on purpose for emerging markets, and they don't care about the emerging markets. You know, they don't care about Americans. So why would they care about emerging markets? Lord Humongous, keep up your excellent work. I'm off to work in the salt mines. Okay, have a great day, Lord Humongous. Colorado, right, Lord? Ralph Moreno, are there disadvantages to purchasing secondary market gold bullion? Of course not. No, of course there isn't. I guess that's in contrast to buying directly off a mint. No, there isn't. Pads, they will collapse these other countries to put them up for sale at super low prices for uber rich. Yeah, it's the pump and dump, isn't it? They've been doing it for hundreds of years, unfortunately. But that's what you get under fiat money system. It's easier to control that mechanism. Grayland, do you think that decentralized P2P technology will take over the internet similar to how email took over faxes? I guess you mean the blockchain as P2P, decentralized? Yeah, it's highly possible. I think so. Laura, why don't economists talk about the fractional reserve banking? Well, there's a book that I bought last year or a year or 2 years ago, written by the former governor of the Bank of England, Mervyn King, and he proposes, that we get rid of fractional reserve. But economists, a lot of the mainstream economists, they're in the pockets of the bankers, so they're not going to talk about banning or reforming or getting rid of fractional reserve. They'd lose their jobs like that. Unfortunately, just people like me are talking about it. And also the former governor of the Bank of England. But notice that he wrote that after he got his retirement. So you can, and I'm sure that's something Greenspan would probably agree with as well. Yeah, it's the what's it called? Mervyn King. I think it's called. Yeah, just Google. I think it's Mervyn King. Is it The End of Alchemy? I can't see the title from here. So my book is over there. But just Google Mervyn King Alchemy, and you find this book. T. Hambone. Okay, I'll make you a moderator. Thanks. Lord Humongous, lots of gold and silver in Colorado. You just have to dig for it. Yeah, I bought a gold pan from, it's a green one. I did go to Wales a few years ago. This amateur prospector took me there in the river. It's fun. It's really hard digging for gold or mining for gold. That's why it's worth so much. I mean, and people, it's in people's DNA. Ravenez, have you heard about the idea of some Euro-skeptic Italian economists that mini bots to distribute value to the people without using the euro? Yeah, I have heard about the mini bot. Bot is just a treasury bond. And they're thinking of just issuing treasury bonds the treasury itself without borrowing money from the banks. That would be quite revolutionary. Issuing, it's like issuing greenbacks. So I have heard of it. It's whether they put it into practice or are allowed to put into practice. Grayland, great stream and echo. Love your work and love your post on Steam and D to buy back your videos via P2P technologies to keep them around. Yeah, I do fairly well from Steam. I know the Steam and the Steam dollar price has gone down quite a bit lately, but I still believe in it. What's crypto.com? Hi, Maneco. Recently, banks have ring-fenced their banking and investment parts, namely Barclays Bank and Barclays Stockbrokers in case. So if worst case scenario, the system crashed, would my money be safe, you mean? I wouldn't. I would be, careful of keeping too much money with Barclays or any other broker. That's why I hold quite a bit of precious metals. I know I'm giving up on, the stock market going up, but I don't care. I think I might not get mega rich or make a lot of money from holding gold and silver, but I will still have something. While in the stock market, aside from volatility, you could have, if there's a crisis, you could have counterparty risk. And this ring fence word is very subjective. Azure, Maneco, how do you see them doing bail-ins going forward? Inflation is already a bail-in, of course. Of course, they've been lying to us that we don't have inflation. They've been inflating the system. Cost of living is going up. That's already a bail-in, But yeah, bail-in will just basically be like a bailout of the banks, but they're going to use the depositors' money. They're not going to use taxpayers' money. But I would say 99.9% of depositors are taxpayers, so it's not much different. Tristan Marsh, wish Steemit would approve my account. Well, it's funny because I opened my Steemit account 2 years ago, and at that time, not many people using that, so I opened it quite quickly. That's hopefully they'll get it done fairly quickly for you. Chuck Delano, I did give a thumbs up. He tries to tell most of the truth. Thanks, Chuck. It looks like the T Hambone is doing a good job not getting any more of these trolls. Eric L. Mary, do you think that gold can go much lower than the cost to mine it? What effects would that have? Well, personally, it could maybe, but for a very short time. The effect would be that a lot of mining companies would probably go out of business, unfortunately, especially the smaller ones, exploration companies. But I think I don't think it would last that long. It wouldn't be great for the mining industry, though. Thank you, Lord Humongous, for the super chat donation. I appreciate it. Just like there's horrible people like the trolls, they're great people. They're great people like all of you, and Lord Humongous included. Grayland, Stephen has a hard fork coming very soon in the month. I didn't know that, actually. They have account velocity coming, so I can make anyone account cheaply. So I have to look into that. Kathleen Smith, miners should stop mining and wait for gold price to rise or raise. they're getting screwed. I agree, but a lot of these miners, they've borrowed a lot of money from the banks, that are screwing them, the bullion banks, and they've got financing to pay back. So that's why, yeah, debt. That's the problem with debt. You get beholden to the bankers. I agree. It's like Atlas Shrugged. You give up, you stop. You don't want to be looted anymore. So I'll take one or two more questions because I'm going to go. I need to go soon. I'm going out. And we've been here for an hour. I really appreciate your presence here as always. I really enjoyed these chats and Q&A. And thanks a lot for the super chat donations and also for helping me keep these trolls away from the chat. And yeah, I wish you all a good rest of the day, and I'll be talking to you tomorrow in the next video. Take care. Bye, everyone.